Cover your head with your hands. In addition, trained weather spotters have reported a final cloud with this storm. See, do not wait to see or hear the tornado. Take cover now. To see.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
This is no ordinary vortex chamber. It has no fans, no moving parts whatsoever, and is powered entirely by ionic thrust. Adjustable in speed from relatively slow to full-blown cyclonic, 6 ionic thrusters provide 12 liters of air per second, twisting fog towards the heavens. You see, I recently shot a video on an amazing process called Bowles nebulography, and as far as I could tell, it's a relatively new phenomenon. Well, during one test, something completely unexpected.
Today we're going to try to upgrade a budget laptop by hooking up a broken RTX 4090 to it, using a $25 adapter. Done something like this before, but back then I was connecting the GPU to a mini PC through a Gen 3 M.2 SSD slot, which gives 4 gigabytes a second of bandwidth. But the slot in this laptop is more modern, Gen 4 with twice the bandwidth. I want to find out and show you whether a GPU this powerful can run at full strength on a laptop like this, and how much better it'll be than the graphics on board. I think we should start with the graphics card. This is the Asus TUF 4090 Gaming. The inductor coils in this card are the stuff of legend. It sent me back just $1,500 back in the day. Now, of course, it's a completely different price. It's factory certified, something like factory refurbished, and these are sold with a warranty of just 3 months. At the end, we'll also tear this card down and see what's been repaired in it. And just so you understand how powerful this card is, at 9,600 by 5,400, that's 10K, without any DLSS or other Vaseline smear technologies, this card can push a smooth 50 plus FPS in GTA 5 on Ultra. The card doesn't arrive in a factory box, but in this one, plain white, no identifying marks, with nothing but the card inside. That's probably done so that you, being a successful businessman, don't get any ideas about reselling them on the side as new. Because if it came in a factory box with a full kit, I swear you could make an extra 35% on every card. Just like that. Even with the defect this card has. More on that later. The card has obviously been used. There's even fur from the previous owner still in it. What did put me on edge is that the card arrived with a damaged seal. For such a fat GPU, I got myself an equally fat power supply. A Cooler Master 1050W white. And it already comes with a 16-pin 600-watt cable. God, that sounds like a threat. On top of that, it's angled, and that's very important. I remember how at launch people had these new connectors burning up bright for every dollar they paid, and the cause there was a cable not pushed all the way into the connector. Basically, bad contact. But the connector itself isn't perfect either. Long story short, I'll put the card in a PC now and show you. Even when the cable is plugged in until it clicks, it still bends the connector pretty hard. Lame. Hear that sound? That's exactly what power sounds like. That, mind you, is not a defect. It's a feature of Asus cards. Now, you can tell your FPS by the sound of the winding inductor coils. The louder the whine, the higher the FPS. I noticed the whine disappears for a millisecond whenever a freeze shows up. The way I see it, that's not a freeze. That's the card shifting gears to go faster. But jokes aside, it doesn't actually whine that badly. With headphones on, you can't hear it at all, and it only whines in games. A 100 millivolt undervolt cuts the noise down a bit more. By the way, I asked the store whether this counts as a defect you could RMA the card for. They said no. Let the GPU rest for a bit. Let me now introduce you to our budget laptop. It's actually a great laptop. I bought it for the blackouts, when the power at home would be out for 6 hours straight. But now the power's on, and I keep thinking, why did I even buy it? This laptop is called the Gigabyte Aorus 159KF, and it costs $1,000. Spec-wise, for the price, it's pretty decent. It's equipped with a limp i5 12500H with 4 plus 8 cores, and that's its bottleneck, so to speak. But still, by my calculations, it should have enough muscle. The GPU here is the full fat kind, a 140-watt RTX 4060. And this card really can draw up to 140 watts, but only in firm arc. In games, it's 80 to 100 watts tops. As you can see, this mobile card is barely any different from the desktop one, and in practice, they put out mostly identical FPS too. The battery is genuinely powerful, 99 watt-hours. Lasted me 3 to 4 hours of working in DaVinci Resolve. The only things I didn't like about this laptop are the small display and the keyboard. Should have gotten the 17-inch version. Or, better yet, shouldn't have gotten one at all. Though the display itself isn't bad. 360 Hz IPS. Those cheapskates at Gigabyte could have thrown in more memory though. Just a 512 gigabyte SSD and 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM at 4800 MHz. Luckily, the memory can be expanded without voiding the warranty, even though though there are seals on the back cover. Though the salesman at the store where I bought it said the best move is to heat the seals with a hairdryer and carefully peel them off, that's all bull. There's no way to take them off without damaging them. Before we connect the graphics card to the laptop, I want to tell you about a genuinely useful thing I've been using myself for 2 months now, and I've already dictated 60,000 words to it. This is WhisperFlow. It's a voice-to-text tool that turns what you say into clean, formatted text in any app you already use. So a big shout out to them for sponsoring this video. Messaging sellers when I'm sourcing parts takes me 2 minutes to type, 20 seconds to say. Watch.
Hi, I'm asking about your MSI B450 Tomahawk. The MSI B550 Tomahawk. Is the BIOS updated for, like, Ryzen 4000? Ryzen 5000? And could you send a close-up of the socket?
20 seconds. It dropped the ums and got every technical term right. And it's not a standalone app. It works in Discord, Docs, ChatGPT, iMessage, anywhere you already type. Writing this would have taken forever. Link in the description. First month of Pro is free with code WHATPC. With all the screws out, you still have to somewhat manage to pop the cover off with a plastic card. Here's what this monster's cooling system looks like. Under full load, it doesn't even overheat, though it does get pretty loud. Here are 2 more seals. Damage these and the warranty's gone. We don't need the battery for our purposes, so I'll disconnect it from the board. And here's what we came for. A Gen 4 M.2 NVMe slot. I'll be connecting through that same M.2 NVMe to PCI Express X16 adapter that supports Gen 4, which is what our RTX 4090 runs on. Those who saw the previous video will remember. On the PSU, you need to bridge these 2 wires, plug the card into the slot, connect the slot's power through the PSU, switch the PSU off with its button, and plug the PSU into the wall. And this is what our laptop looks like, souped up with the discrete graphics card. The laptop's power brick is already plugged in. Now, first order of business. Power up the GPU by flipping the switch on the PSU. We bridge these wires so the PSU starts working right after the switch, meaning the card is already getting power. Now we just hit the laptop's power button, and the whole thing comes to life together. After booting the laptop in Device Manager, we see either an unknown graphics device, if we have no drivers, or our card. We've got option 1. With a laptop, of course, getting a discrete GPU running is harder than on the mini PC. First, the laptop has its own display. Second, it has its own discrete 4060, and it's locked in a brutal fight with the 4090 over who gets to be the boss of this laptop. And the 4060 always wins, just like a honey badger. When I tried to install drivers for the 4090, the 4060 wakes up and goes, "I've already got those, calm down." Even if you disable it through Windows and completely remove the drivers, it still wakes up like, "Oh, we'll be needing that, we're not giving that up, thank you very much." And I'm like, who's we? Seriously, who is we? You and your schizophrenia? Or maybe mine? Unfortunately, there's no way to disable it through the BIOS, and the BIOS here isn't very functional in general. Almost nothing works. That disappointed me quite a bit. Even before the 4090 arrived, I managed to hook up the indestructible Radeon 580 to this laptop and even play some GTA. But it's weaker than even the 4060, so that doesn't count. It probably worked because the drivers are different. I tried everything to connect the 4090, the left M.2 slot, the right one, but I couldn't get it to output an image. I partially succeeded when I disconnected the laptop's display and left only the external GPU's monitor, but the screen froze solid before even reaching Windows. Shame on laptops like this. That's my opinion. The content this budget laptop ruined for me. But what can you do? Let me show you how it runs on a regular PC through that same M.2 slot and adapter. I know some M.2 lanes go through the chipset and some go straight to the CPU, and in theory that can affect performance, but I don't think it'll change the numbers much, so I'll plug into the first available slot. And let's see the results. On the PC, everything fired up on the first crank. Here's the 4090 on 4 lanes. On top of that, I'll lift the power limit and overclock it at stock voltage. The memory on this one, by the way, turned out pretty meh. I only pushed it up by 500 megahertz. For a better comparison, I also added tests from the laptop's 4060, so you can see the colossal difference you could have gotten if the 4090 had worked on it. Here's the FPS in RDR2 on Ultra at 6400 by 3600, basically 6K. RDR2 looks great at that resolution, even on a 2K monitor. I think you can see that level of detail even through the recording. The 4060 is running at 2K here because it doesn't have enough VRAM for anything higher, while the 4090 runs at 6K. As you can see, the 4060 at 2K puts out fewer FPS than the 4090 at 6K. In Alan Wake 2, we've got 2K on all cards with 0 smearing. The 4090 shows 5 to 6 times more FPS compared to the 4060. The difference between lane counts is noticeable in this game too. We lose about 10% of performance from having just 4 lanes. And the same goes for every game that follows in my tests. In every game, the card on 16 lanes gets roughly 10% higher FPS, but the 4090 is still far more powerful on 4 lanes than a 4080, even accounting for that 10% the 4090 lost. If you're paying attention, you notice the power draw on 16 lanes is higher than on 4. Comparing them, 4060, forced to run at 4K and at 10K like in GTA, shows 3, and sometimes 5 times fewer FPS. But of course, the 4060 isn't meant for resolutions that big. On the laptop in full HD, it handles every game on ultra settings. Plus, it's only 15 inches, and at that size, everything looks more or less sharp. And now, for those curious about the performance of a $1,000 laptop, here are the 3D Mark results. It's just a benchmark, sure, but I still wanted to include it. On the laptop, DaVinci Resolve with color grading absolutely flies. Of course, that's because the footage is on RAWs. But the point is that the laptop's 4060 is perfectly enough for this kind of work. Here's the difference in render speed. So, in DaVinci, the 4090 doesn't make much sense because the difference is just 30 seconds. Definitely not worth that kind of markup, especially on 4 lanes. On the CPU side, Vegas showed our i5 is only twice as slow as the flagship 14900K. To wrap up, let's see if there are any visible traces of repair on the card. The seal's already torn anyway. Who's gonna find out if I opened it? Just recording some incriminating evidence on myself here. I'm curious whether this card was actually repaired and whether there's anything else going on besides the whining chokes. Because for some reason it had already been opened before it got to me. Naturally, giving it a look with my deranged gaze, I spotted no traces of any repair whatsoever, so I took it to a service center. There, they told me if the card was repaired at the factory, there won't be any visible traces of repair. Well then, turns out either there was no repair at all, or the card really was repaired at the manufacturer's factory. All in all, not bad. Snagged a nearly new card for half price. Now I'll have something to play GTA 6 on the PS5 with. So, thanks to everyone who signed up for channel membership. Thanks for your attention. Hope it was interesting. See you next. In 2017, someone could spend $7,000 on this computer and say, yes, this is a smart financial investment in very risky high-yield assets. In front of you is one of the most expensive and most powerful pre-built PCs of its time, the Alienware Area 51. Inside it has a 16-core i9 that, when overclocked, can suck down up to 500 watts. And today we're going to find out what happened to this monster after 9 years, whether it can still handle modern games, whether its only useful function now is heating the room, and whether I can overclock it without turning this financial pyramid into a barbecue grill. It's scary to imagine what kind of works inspired the designers of this case. What I liked even more was the opening mechanism of the computer and, of course, the side panels, which are very well balanced, as you can see. They can spin like 2 fidget spinners almost forever, until you get tired of watching it and stop these wheels of fortune yourself. As you can see, there has been some very serious swap tuning here. 500 horse, well, not horsepower. Let's just say a different kind of horse-related unit when it comes to the graphics card. But today I'll also show you the original one that came with this PC from the factory, although it's also a bit unusual. As you can see, there are 2 liquid coolers installed here, and the motherboard itself is positioned inside the case in a pretty unusual way. Also, as you can see, the PC is pretty dirty, so I'm going to take it apart and, along the way, explain how everything is built and what components are inside. Let's start with the graphics card, which is not original and is mounted in a pretty non-standard way. I mean, this radiator, which is installed instead of the standard chassis fan and mounted through an adapter. This is an EVGA Hybrid RTX 2080 Ti, and at launch, this thing was insanely expensive. $1,450 in 2018. It looks pretty cool. Wonder how this adapter comes off. Oh, you just had to press it. Later I'll check whether it fits another graphics card with 2 8-pin connectors. Some of these screws are tightened pretty hard. Damn, you need 500 Newton meters of torque just to unscrew this cursed screw. Finally. The fan, by the way, is basically a racing fan. One of those high-speed monsters that can spin up to 4,000 RPM. You don't mess around with something like this. This isn't some quiet little build. Everything here is made very seriously so the PC doesn't overheat. The CPU liquid cooler has the same fan, and overall there were supposed to be 4 of these fans installed here. And just imagine the level of concern from your neighbors if you crank all of them to max. The RAM here isn't original, but the capacity is the same as in the top configuration of this computer, 64 gigabytes of DDR4 memory. In general, the top configuration came with Kingston HyperX, but these crucial ballistic sticks are almost the same. Hopefully they overclock normally. As you can see, there's even something here that kinda looks like cable management. Well, since the side panels aren't transparent, Dell decided not to hide the wires behind the case. Did you see that I just disconnected an 8-pin connector from the motherboard? Well, turns out that this is power for the PCI Express slots. I think they added it because, in theory, you can install 3 large and 5 small graphics cards here, and if you load all of them to the max, each one can pull 75 watts from the slot. And that's already a lot for a single 24-pin connector, which is the main power connection to the motherboard. Let's take a look at the audio on this motherboard. ALC3861. For a $7,000 computer, that's just embarrassing. I'm not even going to listen to it because I don't want to ruin my mood. Everyone knows the best audio is in the video description, but the power supply has plenty of headroom. 6 8-pin connectors for graphics cards. So you could connect 3 GTX 1080 Ti cards here, each with 2 8-pin connectors. Power supply is fully modular, not like in the previous Alienware where one connector was basically responsible for the entire power supply. This one is 1.5 kilowatts. It has grown a little bit of a spiderweb, but honestly, I'm scared to take it apart, so I'll continue taking apart the computer instead. Because one way or another, there is still so much interesting and unusual stuff here. Everything is in classic Alienware style, a bunch of proprietary boards, and wires I'm seeing for the first time in my life. And I'm going to suffer a lot when I have to plug everything back in while putting this whole thing together. I don't understand why they had to add this plate too. Maybe it's so you can remove the motherboard together with this plate without taking the board out of the case. Basically, without unscrewing the screws that hold the motherboard itself. It's an interesting solution, of course, but it also adds weight to the computer. On the back of the PC, we have even more interesting engineering decisions. For example, this multifunctional proprietary board with a whole bunch of wires connected to it, or 4 drive sleds for 4 storage devices, and only one of them is for a 2.5-inch drive. By the way, this one here is the original 2TB HDD, and the SSD is 250 gigabytes. For some reason, I don't feel a burning desire to unplug every single wire from this multifunctional board, so I'll only remove the ones that prevent me from pulling it out. ripped out of the PC. This way, I'll reduce the number of swear words I'll have to spend later when putting this PC back together. This thing I just removed is a genius solution. As you can see, the previous owner discharged it, and it uses AA-type ammo. Apparently, there wasn't enough budget left for AAA. So I'm going to reload it right now, because these days you should always keep your weapon loaded. Actually, it powers the lighting for the rear ports of the case, which I won't show today because I forgot. But just know that somewhere in the world there is a button that watches you and turns on the lighting for those ports. A very necessary thing in 2017. It's called a disk drive. And while I'm unscrewing an absurd number of hex screws from this case, let me tell you how you can make your time on the internet a little safer. Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. And honestly, this sponsor makes sense for a channel like this, because when you rebuild old PCs, you don't just buy parts from one clean, trusted store. You end up on old forums, random driver pages, used marketplaces, and websites that look like they were built together with the PC you're trying to restore. That's where NordVPN can help. NordVPN is an all-in-one digital security app. All-in-one refers to the VPN, next-gen antivirus, and other features available within the NordVPN app, depending on the plan you choose. Of course, the VPN can encrypt your connection, which is useful on public Wi-Fi in hotels, airports, cafes, or anywhere you probably shouldn't trust the network too much. But NordVPN also includes a built-in next-gen antivirus with Threat Protection Pro. It can help block dangerous websites, phishing links, trackers, annoying ads, and scan downloaded files for malware. So if you're searching for an old BIOS file, a motherboard driver, or buying used PC parts online, it adds another layer of protection before you click something stupid at 2 in the morning. NordVPN also has Dark Web Monitor, which can alert you if your email appears in leaked databases. Go to nordvpn.com/aboutpc and use code ABOUTPC to get the 2-year plan plus 4 extra months. The link is also at the top of the description and in the pinned comment. It's risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, go to nordvpn.com/aboutpc and use code ABOUTPC. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. After unscrewing 10,000 goddamn screws, I enthusiastically moved on to solving the mystery of how to remove this plastic shell from this financial pyramid. And I got defeated a few times because I invested too late. But eventually, I figured out how the system works. See, there are 3 clips here, and even though I only have 2 hands, somehow you're supposed to figure out how to press all 3 at the same time. But luckily, I still have feet, and measuring things is not the only thing I use them for. Thus, suffering. So many swear words were said. And honestly, they were not wasted, because this case simply does not come apart without profanity. This is what those cursed clips look like. I feel like even the Saw movies didn't have traps this sophisticated for their players. But once I crossed the clip threshold, things got much easier. Parts almost started falling off by themselves. This PC has a very interesting system for transferring light through the case. The LED is attached to a piece of transparent plastic with some kind of electrical tape, which makes sense. A good PC should definitely have at least one thing held together with electrical tape. As you can see, the Wi-Fi antennas are arranged in a very specific way. Obviously, this order is required for better communication with space or alien civilizations. Although I suspect the designers of this case were reaching space through some other method. Most likely certain substances. Oh, right, remember the ammo magazine? Well, this is what it powers. When I fully disassembled the case, that's when I finally realized just how dirty it actually was.
County in north central Keysota. National Weather Service Doppler radar. Tornado near Prior Lake. 60 miles per hour. Locations impacted include Prior Lake. Difficult to see or confirm at night. Do not wait to see or hear the tornado. Take cover now. The safest place to be during a tornado is in a basement. Get under a workbench or other piece of sturdy furniture. If no basement is available, seek shelter on the lowest floor of the building in an interior hallway or room such as a closet. On the lowest floor, use blankets or pillows to cover your body, and always stay away from windows. If in mobile homes or vehicles, evacuate them and get inside a substantial shelter. If no shelter is available, lie flat in the nearest ditch or other low spot and cover your head with your hands. Heavy rainfall may hide this tornado, making it extremely difficult to see. Do not wait to see or hear the tornado. Take cover now. located a tornado on the ground near. Doppler radar showed this tornado moving northeast per hour. Locations impacted include Hazleton, Helma. Tornadoes are extremely difficult to see or confirm at night. Do not wait to see or hear the tornado. Take cover now. Cover now. Take cover now. Move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. If you are outdoors, in a mobile home, or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris.
Was, especially these fans with the grill. There's also some interesting sensor here. Write in the comments if you know what it's for, and I'll continue disassembling everything that has with wet wipes because these panels, just like on the previous Alienware, are made entirely out of screws, and they're not very interesting inside. Plus, they aren't even that dirty. The storage drives are also pretty clean, so I'm not even going to take them out of the sleds. As for the cables, ideally I should throw them into the bathtub with the plastic parts, but my water comes with coral reefs. Plus, I'd have to dry them quickly afterwards, so I wipe them down with wet wipes too. Now, probably comes the interesting part, the CPU. This is the 2066 socket, in case someone still hasn't figured it out. And inside we have one of the top CPUs, the i9-7960X, with 16 cores and 32 threads, which can also be overclocked. I saw tests online where this CPU was pulling 500 watts when overclocked. So let's see what we can squeeze out of this motherboard in terms of overclocking this system. I'll put it back into the socket before I do something stupid. If you remember, the previous Alienware had one very high-frequency fan on the VRM heatsink. Here, they decided to get rid of that racing fan and just make the VRM heatsink bigger. And I suspect those chassis fans don't spin up to 4,000 RPM for no reason. I don't know how many power phases this board has, but having only one CPU power connector is a little suspicious, because How exactly are we supposed to power a 500-watt CPU with just one connector? This overclock is exactly why I decided to clean this heatsink, so the motherboard doesn't burn down before I finish filming the video. The board itself, by the way, has some suspicious yellow stains on it. Hopefully it's not contagious. Anyway, I already washed the heatsink. Let's wish it good luck in its future career of removing heat from the VRM. What else is interesting here? I almost forgot about this fancy NVMe drive with a huge heatsink on it. As you can see, if you arm your eyeball properly, I hope you can see this gigantic heatsink, which could probably cool a 6,000 megawatt nuclear power plant, barely touches the SSD through the thermal pad. So, we're gonna fix that now. The design here isn't very complicated. It's held on by just 4 screws. See, this was the only spot where it actually made contact. Inside, we have a Samsung 980 Pro 500GB. Of course, it's not original, but the original Alienware also had a 500GB NVMe drive. So now we'll replace it with a thicker thermal pad, a slightly more body-positive one. This thermal pad is 1mm thick, but I'm going to use a 1.5mm one. After some very strategic test fitting and some very unstrategic cutting, here's the difference in thickness between them. It's a pretty soft thermal pad, so the SSD should be fine even if the pressure is stronger. I checked this earlier, and the whole problem was that the heatsink actually reached the SSD even with the old thermal pad, until the screws were tightened. Those screws center the
Presentamos Grammarly, tu herramienta integral de redacción como nunca antes la habías visto. Conoce Paraphraser, la herramienta ideal para escribir con precisión y claridad, lista para cualquier
heatsink and slightly lift it up. So, basically, whenever you buy Chinese heatsinks, you always have to modify something. Damn it, I installed the heatsink the wrong way around. You can't be this stupid. What I actually really liked about this Alienware is that almost everything uses the same type of screw. These ones right here. And you have no idea how much that reduced the amount of profanity during the PC assembly. Anyway, here are all the components I cleaned and all the parts this PC has. At least, all the ones that fit into the frame. Write in the comments what's missing here. It's an important component. And here's the before and after of washing some of the parts. Now I need to figure out how to start assembling this engineering puzzle for the insane people who were brave enough to buy it. White, black, gray. This is the special order in which you need to stick the antennas for communicating with the funny farm. You must memorize this like the Lord's Prayer because the aliens will be very concerned if you arrange the antennas in the wrong order. They'll be even more concerned if I don't show you how I install these very important parts from extremely close up, so you still can't figure out where they actually are inside this PC. Damn it, really hope that came from a head. Either way, I'm actually starting to like this electrical tape lighting system. As you've probably figured out, it connects from 4 sides. So that's these strips light up in case you didn't understand. I'm sure there will be at least one person crazy enough to watch this video and count the total number of screws I unscrewed and screwed back in throughout the entire video. And by the way, I barely skipped any of them. Well, this plastic cage is much easier to install than it is to remove. Thankfully, all the screws here are the same. Hex screws, of course, with about 10,000 of them shoved into this thing. But I actually kind of enjoyed screwing them back in. Apparently, I'm slowly losing my mind from all these alien technologies. I'm so glad I didn't pull those cursed wires out of this panel. In general, the assembly is going like butter. Everything fits perfectly into its place. I'll leave the HDD in because, as we all know, there's no such thing as too much noise. Damn, I almost forgot that the ammo magazine still needs to be screwed back into its place first, and only then can we load the ammunition. Here's some other sensor. I don't know, maybe it's the one that detects whether the side panel is open or not. It's so nice that almost all these wires need to be shoved through one hole, and I'm slowly starting to like this computer. I think this is the stage where the madness starts to feel normal. Damn it, I only realized during editing that I could have screwed the board onto this plate first and only then shoved the whole plate into the case. Well, whatever. The next time I take this PC apart, I'll definitely pull off that genius scheme. But for now, I'll do it the old-fashioned way, the way I know. Anyway, I know you like these shots where I'm twisting myself into a pretzel just to get a good angle. And honestly, I like them too, because if I didn't, you wouldn't be seeing these shots. damn, right here I forgot to connect the 8-pin cable for powering the PCI Express slots. Because of this, there will be problems later, but that comes later. And while Taiwan hasn't attacked China and then blamed China for attacking Taiwan, let's finally install this damn 1.5 kilowatt power supply into the computer. Oh, now we have such a beautiful mess of wires here that I'll be cleaning it up for 200 years after mankind. Because as we all know, I have a natural talent for cable management. I suffered so much while connecting these cursed little antennas for the Wi-Fi module, but for you, it only took a couple of seconds. This fan looks so much better now that I washed it. Although this bucket still has some stains after washing, but whatever. The important thing is that I figured out how to remove and install this fan. I'll patent this technology and start selling it before some clever thief steals my idea. Someone out there is probably seriously doubting the cooling capabilities of this stock single-section liquid cooler, but I've never been more confident in it. Ah, damn it, almost forgot to apply thermal paste. Just imagine the level of concern the CPU would have had. The thermal paste ran out, but I have a spare one, so don't worry. The main thing is that no thieves show up and steal my wonderful 64 gigabytes of RAM. I know you've been waiting a long time for this moment, but I'm going to remove the slot covers with some extra room for a much bigger graphics card. The Aorus Extreme Edition GTX 1080 Ti. It cost $850 at launch. As you can see, the cooling here is pretty serious. 12 plus 2 power phases. You can increase the power limit on this card by plus 50%. When I tested it in FurMark, I saw power consumption reach 370 watts. Just so you understand, the stock Founders Edition is only 250 watts. Yes, of course, this isn't the card Dell shoved into their Alienware computers. Those had 2 GTX 1080 Ti cards, something like these blower-style ones. But since we'll be testing this system in modern games where SLI is useless, I figured, hey, why not do something a little more interesting with a top-tier version of the card from that time, Have you ever seen an HDMI port on the front of a graphics card? Very interesting engineering decision. And then I thought, why not install both of these graphics cards into the PC at the same time? Then we would have a computer with 3 separate liquid coolers. Well, let's try it. I'm not really a big fan of graphics cards like this because they're inconvenient, but they do look interesting. Anyway, I'll install the liquid cooler instead of the top chassis fan. To do that, I need to move this bracket onto the radiator. Okay, looks like I miscalculated somewhere. But where? The radiator doesn't fit at the top. Damn it, why are you so dirty? I'm gonna cover the whole PC in this dust. All because of my own laziness. I'll quickly wash the radiator and then think about how to solve this compatibility problem. Anyway, after I slept it off and regained some questionable amount of judgment, I realized that without an angle grinder, this compatibility issue is not getting solved. So I'll have to give up on having 2 graphics cards in one computer. I'll install the radiator in the same place where the 2080 Ti radiator used to be. Also, as it turns out, this 8-pin cable extension was made only for EVGA cards, or for cards where the connectors are flipped the other way around. So there's no way to hide these cables nicely. I'm saying that as if I've ever cared about that before. For some reason, the side panel started closing really tightly. Looks like the graphics card tubes are getting in the way. But anyway, I finally assembled the computer! Now I'll connect everything it needs to work, and hopefully, it at least turns on. This is my face every morning. Power cable here is a little different from what you're used to seeing in regular PCs. These are actually used with power supplies around 1.5 kilowatts and above. Here's the lighting I was talking about. You know, the one that connects like this. Well, the computer seems to be alive. The CPU at stock settings consumes only some tiny little 160 watts. The temperature headroom looks like this PC doesn't have a 16-core i9 inside, but some 35-watt Pentium. And yet the performance is almost 8,000 points. But the all-core frequency really is like on some Pentium. Only 3.6 gigahertz on all cores. We'll fix that in the future. I hope you still remember our SSD card with the cool Chinese heatsink on it. I got curious what the temperatures look like now. Even though I didn't check the temperatures before, right now it reaches a maximum of 50 degrees during writes. Without the heatsink, it would have been throttling a long time ago. Ah, damn it, I only now noticed that the side panel has a gap the size of half a square kilometer. Don't ask how I managed to miss that. So that's why it was closing so badly. My guess is that the radiator is actually pressing against it. I installed it the wrong way around. I did this at 3 a.m., so judge not, and you shall not be judged. This should make it easier to close the side panel. Well, obviously in modern games, the bottleneck will be the graphics card, so let's start with that. I launched the new Resident Evil at settings that are pretty serious for a graphics card of this age, and I noticed some very strange frame time behavior. Yep, the FPS is perfectly fine, but as you can see, at the exact same moment, a stutter appears. I measured the distance between these stutters, and it happens every 2 inches, or 5 centimeters. It behaves almost like something is pulling some sensor at regular intervals. To avoid hunting for the problem inside the Windows installation left by the previous owner, I connected another drive to the PC with a different Windows installation. And the stutters didn't disappear. So the problem is not the system, and this only happens in Resident Evil. Anyway, here's the graphics card at stock and overclocked. The chip is already factory overclocked, so I couldn't squeeze more than 2 gigahertz out of it. So the improvement here mostly comes from overclocking the memory. But overall, just look at how well this card still handles other games. In Kingdom Come at high settings in 2K, it delivers 80 FPS. Let's see what happens in 4K. Well, almost 50 FPS. Although, to be fair, that's with FSR quality. But not everything is smooth. In Stalker at high settings in 2K, the card only delivers 30 FPS. In Silent Hill at 2K on high settings, I hope you can see these are high settings, the game gives us 45 FPS. So it's playable, and the frame time graph has no stutters. Hogwarts is completely unplayable, as you can see. So let's do a small upgrade to test the CPU. We'll let the GTX 1080 Ti rest a little. And now I'm going to install a very interesting graphics card. Whoever can guess not just the GPU model, but the exact vendor of the card gets a like on their comment. Damn it, I almost smashed the camera while installing this cursed graphics card, because for some reason the rear bracket is bent, and because of that, it doesn't want to go into the slot. But it looks like it doesn't work in this PC anyway. So now it's time to bring out a different weapon. For example, this RTX 4090. I'll have to connect it through this adapter, and this card is so huge that I can't even secure it with a screw to stop it from wobbling. So the computer will be lying on its side. And also, as you can see, the cable sticks out pretty far to the side, so closing the panel is not happening. But let's finally go into the BIOS and try to overclock this computer. Finally, the BIOS here looks like it was made for humans. Let's go straight to overclocking. I enabled the XMP profile for the memory, but adjusted the frequency to 3000 MHz because it wouldn't boot at 3200. CPU overclocking here can be done in one click, but I'll adjust the CPU frequency a little. The power limits, of course, need to be set to the maximum values available on this board, although this number staying at 1023 looks kinda suspicious. Hopefully these limits will be enough. Well, the computer seems to boot. The CPU now scored 8,700 points in multi-core. But after the computer sat for a bit and finally got its act together, it scored 9,500 points, beating the sad little Core Ultra 7 155H. Yes, it's a mobile CPU, but let's not be too demanding of Grandpa because he still has a lot to go through today. It runs all 16 cores at 4 GHz. Very strange. Why not 4.3? Damn it, looks like even with the power limits removed, the motherboard allows the CPU to consume a maximum of 240 watts. Man, that's disappointing. Now it makes sense why there's only one 8-pin CPU power connector here. Although, judging by the CPU temperatures, there's still headroom for at least another 100, maybe even 150 watts. I forgot to test the memory at stock settings, but in overclocking, just look at this. Almost 100 gigabytes per second read speed. These are DDR5 numbers. For comparison, here are the results from the $10,000 PC from my previous video. But not everything for the CPU overclocks for improvement. The improvable to the is still 120, so I'll test it as it is, overclocked and stock. In God of War, there's a 120 FPS cap, but 120 frames for a CPU this old is still great. As for the other games, as you can see, the improvement is visible to the naked eye. Across all games, the average gain was 20%. In Stalker, the improvement was the smallest, but it felt the most noticeable. In Hogwarts, we got the lowest FPS out of all the games, but the biggest overclocking gain, 24%. In both cases, Hogwarts is still unplayable at maximum graphics settings. By the way, I took screenshots of all 3 top Intel platforms from my last 3 videos. So these are all three top-tier platforms with the most powerful CPUs of their time. And honestly, I don't even know if this is a normal performance improvement over 6 years or not. Write your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about the performance of all three platforms and this Alienware? Personally, I was disappointed by the overclocking capability.
Hola, ¿creéis que estáis preparados para todo?
Most people spend $15,000 to build their dream PC. I spent mine building a nightmare, and somehow it came out even uglier than it is bad. The wildest part is that on a budget like this, most of the parts in here are actually secondhand. So let's start with the CPU. And right off the bat, you might object. Hold on, you're telling me about a bad PC, but you're showing off the box of a glorious Ryzen 7 1800X? But in reality, what's sitting inside this box is a Ryzen 7800X 3D. And the first terrible idea here is buying a 7800X 3D used because there are a ton of counterfeits of this chip floating around. Brand new, it runs $360. And with cash this generous, you could have easily grabbed at least a 9800X 3D or something with more cores if the rig isn't strictly for gaming. Almost every component in today's video isn't actually that awful on its own, but all of it together is one giant pain in the ass. The motherboard is an Asus ROG Strix B650EF, priced at $300. This kind of money and not even an X chipset. That's a crime. Then again, the CPU isn't overclockable, so it's actually a decent pick. It's got some
So this is what will happen if slime blocks are extremely bouncy. Oh my gosh. Oh my, oh no, my game, oh no, no. Yeah, my game just crashed. Okay, so I've made it so that you can place down slime blocks at any angles in Minecraft. So if I were to do this, then if I shoot straight down, the arrow should be bouncing to the right side. Like that. Whoa, that is so cool. Bam! Yeah, oh my god. Okay, I've also made this. I don't know why, but I made this. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay, so I can shoot a lot of arrows in Minecraft just because I made it do that. Oh my god. 3, 2, 1, bam. Oh my gosh, what the heck just happened? Whoa! Okay, so that's 10,000 slime blocks. And let's see if this will be able to deflect all my arrows in Minecraft. And oh my gosh, it did. Okay, do you think I can hit those slimes by shooting at this thing? Do you think it's possible? I think so, personally. Maybe. Bro, that was perfect. That was perfect. Do you know what else I've made in Minecraft? Just for fun. Just for fun. Whoa, that is so cool. Wow. One is a really cool piston, and another one is a boring piston. So this one, oh my gosh, what the heck was that? That was not supposed to happen. What in the heck? That's supposed to be a boring one. And this one's supposed to be a fun one. Like, it's supposed to do this. It's small. It's really small. So I'm gonna make it big and show it to you guys. And holy crap, that is enormous. I told you, bro, this is an amazing piston. Birch logs, just to piss you guys off. And then, let me show it to you guys how this works, okay? So I'm gonna press J on my keyboard, and this will extend the piston. Oh my gosh, it actually freaking works. No freaking way. And then if I retract this back to its original position, it will somewhat retain its shape. So if I place down redstones like this, the redstone somewhat stays. So if the piston is not at an angle, I think this should be perfect. So let's go ahead and try this thing. 3, 2, 1, bam. Oh my gosh, it's freaking perfect. Yes. Hello, whoever is living in this house. You got a new neighbor here. You don't like it? Well, no worries, because I can just like put it back here. So I'm gonna see if I can get pushed by this magnificent piston. Let's go. Oh, no, no. I'm gonna lift this entire village house, okay? I'm gonna do this.
Please don't do this to me.
And it should be like in the void, I believe so. Yeah, it's in the void. Like, it's gonna lift this house up. Look at this poor village house. Yes! Oh, this villager, another villager violated. Is he hiding in here? Oh.
Go f*** yourself.
What did you say?
Every single person who watches your videos...
A really cool thing about this mod is the fact that I can activate multiple pistons at the same time. So as you see, I can activate this one and this one at the same time if I press the J button. Like, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So I want to see what happens if I make 2 pistons and then push a block to the same exact plate. I don't know what's gonna happen, honestly. I have no idea. I've never tried it before, and I don't think it's gonna be pretty. Very nice. I was able to move that house to here with a structure block, and guess what I also found out? Nice. I forgot to delete my code from my previous video, but yeah. Let's go ahead and make a piston, okay? Bam! Okay, cool. That is beautiful, I guess. And then let's look underneath. Okay, that is beautiful. So let's go ahead and activate both pistons at the same time and see what happens. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's happening. Oh! No freaking way, bro. Yo! So that house that used to be over there has now been decimated. So now, let's try to retract the pistons. Let me guess what's gonna happen. I think the house got duplicated. I think so. Whoa! No way! Dude, that is so freaking cursed. I freaking love this. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's lagging so much. I want to try something really cursed, okay? So, since I can duplicate houses, let me try to duplicate multiple of them. Like, you know how I love breaking the game? Yeah, let me do it. Let me try to break the game even more. So, J, bam, holy crap. No! It destroyed the house!
Ya has hecho el trabajo. Ahora toca facturar. No te preocupes, con Holded lo tendrás listo en 3 pasos. Holded es el software.
No! Bam! Okay, so we got the house. What the heck? But let's go ahead and try this thing. See what happens. Bam! No freaking way. You're just pulling that house apart. It pulled the house apart and it somewhat duplicated also. Like, as you see, this part, this piston was able to duplicate the house completely, almost, not really actually. And then this one, I have no freaking clue what the heck this is. And this one pulled it apart, and this one, let's see what happens here. Yeah, I don't know. Alright, so there was the pistons. Let me show you guys something even better. So this was the thing that I made before I made the pistons. It was like a prototype piston because, you know, I wanted to make sure that pistons work perfectly fine. And this is kind of fun to play around with. It's like a little gigantic square that I can just toss around and kill mobs. So I think I can use this to kill that poor little villager. I can just suffocate him like this. Bleh. Oh no, that's not supposed to happen, but yeah. Okay, so we got a lot of wardens there. And then I'm gonna just kill them, okay? Have faith in me. Wait, no, it's dark. I cannot see anything. Oh! No. Get in there. Yes, get in there. Yes, suffocate. Yes. So if you guys thought that was it, well, you suck because you really thought I was gonna end there. So this works better in an overworld. And also, a little known fact. Your ears and your brain will work much better while listening to my brand new music that I have co-produced. I bet it already does because you're literally listening to them right now. This is a proven fact from Trust Me Bro, so if you want to triple your IQ point, go ahead and check the description down below. So let me go ahead and get this block here. Hey, bam. And as you see, I was able to get a chunk of the world, and I'm literally just swinging a chunk of the world in the sky. Like, this whole thing came from here. So let me grab this entirety of this ice plane thingy, and then I can toss it around. Woo! I have something better to show you guys. So we gotta go back to our pistons, but this time I'm gonna show you guys its second feature, which is pretty awesome. Hello, Iron Golem, you're looking extra ugly today. I think it worked, so let me show it to you guys. So the piston is a little bit bigger than before, and that's because, oh my gosh, that's way faster. I want to show you guys something extremely cool. So you see this village house? I'm gonna launch it in the sky. Bam! Yes! Yes! Isn't that freaking amazing? So yeah, I made pistons be able to launch projectiles in Minecraft. We got 2 structures prepared to get launched. So we got whatever this thing is called. I think it's a church, and then it's a random house. Okay, so let's see if the piston's arm work. And yeah, it does sort of kind of work. Holy crap, that is ugly. But let's go retract, and let's see if it somewhat keeps the shape. Yeah, it's somewhat dead. Let's see what happens if I launch. Bam! No way! It just collided in mid-air and it just stuck. That's Minecraft physics for you guys. We're gonna try to kill this pig, okay? Like, let's see how many pigs I can kill with that house, like flying house, okay? It's like the house in that Up movie, but like more violent. So I'm gonna be destroying all these pigs with this not so pretty looking house. So let's go ahead and do this. Alright, 3, 2, 1, bam! Yeah! Nice! Bro, that was so freaking satisfying. 3, 2, 1, bam! Bro, where are you going, man? Dude, come back. Dude, that is so freaking fast. Nice, and yeah, nice. Dude, that is perfect. I freaking love this so much. So I'm gonna make another piston here, and hopefully I can make them collide. So we got a house over there, and we got another house over there. So these houses are gonna be colliding with each other in mid-air. No! Okay, this should be better. I'm telling you, this should be better. No way, dude! It exploded in mid-air, but it just kept going. No freaking way. Bam! Right in my face. Dude. So yeah. Lastly, if you guys want to see more great... Oh, that was so satisfying. It went right in the hole, dude. That was freaking amazing. So lastly, if you guys want to see more interesting videos like this, then go and check out these videos out. But other than that, thank you for watching and see you guys in the next video.
Check24, el comparador incomparable, presenta El Checazo, con un 10% de descuento en todos los hoteles, ya sea en la ciudad o en la playa. Reserva tu hotel con garantía de mejor precio y llévate un 10% de descuento en la app. Checazo, solo hasta el viernes. Encuéntralo en Check24.
Prueba el Lipton Mango Maracuyá, el sabor tropical más exótico.
Bam! Oh my god! So I have made every single entity in Minecraft aggressive. No, an aggressive allay. Ow. Yeah, I was slain by a wandering trader. Very nice. So will this work with giants? Because I did put AIs in them as well. Oh my gosh, it does work. What? There's no... There have been multiple attempts to break the highest FPS record for Minecraft on YouTube, and as of today, 20,000 was the highest, which was quite impressive. But what do we do on this channel? We do unthinkable things in Minecraft. So we're gonna be trying to achieve 6 figures FPS in Minecraft. So they have used multiple methods ranging from getting a better PC, overclocking the CPU, changing the version of the game, to even installing a completely different operating system. But I don't need to do any of that. Minecraft is notorious for having a horribly optimized source code, so instead of changing all the outside variables, what if I fix the problem that lies deep within Minecraft itself? Now, you may be asking if this is unfair, but you also gotta realize that many of the FPS records were beaten with the help of clients and Optifine, which in a way change how the game code works. So let's get right into achieving an ungodly high FPS in Minecraft. Alright, so this is completely vanilla, and let's see, we're currently getting about 85. However, if I go to a flat world and change everything to minimum, I get about 500. And if I go in the sky, for some reason, I get almost 1,000. So this is a modified instance of Minecraft that I've coded for better performance, but yeah, it's exactly the same as my vanilla Minecraft. And also, if you look far away, it looks deep fried. I don't know why. It's ugly as heck. It's disgusting. So currently, I'm using a Ryzen 7 5800X CPU, which is pretty fast. But thanks to today's sponsor, Starforge, I got my hands on an i9 14900K paired up with a 4080 Super. So let's see, how fast will the vanilla Minecraft run? Oh my gosh, 2000 frames per second. I honestly didn't know I needed this until I had it. Like for example, my code compiles 2 to 3 times faster, saving me a lot of time. I used to use internal graphics on my older videos, yeah, disgusting, right? And I switched to a 3070 pre-built PC and the improvement was like night and day. If you're looking for something cheaper or better than mine, StarForge got you, because they offer multiple different options for your next PC.